War Eagle Auburn family, and welcome back to E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world. The Auburn family spectrum, always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it's what we do. Appreciate you stopping by for a few minutes with us, or maybe even the whole time, whether you're watching live or on the replay. It's awesome to see so many of you show up here each time we live stream. Some of you on a weekly basis here on our weekly Wednesday night live show. And it's awesome to get together as the Auburn family, just hang out together and talk about what we love about the Auburn Tigers and anything that you can fit within that spectrum that we always like to talk about. So this is our weekly live shows I've already mentioned. Anything's fair game. Most things. Might have to use some discretion sometimes. You never know when a War Dustbuster is going to be thrown up on the screen. If you've been here for a while, you know what that means. But anything is fair game. It's also our live call-in show. You can call in here and be part of the show. I'll go over the instructions for that just a little bit. If some of you already take advantage of that, just be patient as we kind of get to that point. I want to kind of throw down some rules and things like that, just so that you're aware of how it works and everything like that. But anything and everything is fair game. And I'm excited to talk to you all tonight. Before we get started, a couple things. If you haven't, please do make sure you smash that like button. It does help the stream out, helps us know that you are enjoying this type of content, lets others know that we're live. If you can share it on social media, that's a huge help as well. And the easiest thing you can do for me right now in the chat, live or on the replay, whichever way you're watching, post where you're watching from, city, state, international, War Eagle, all that good stuff. That would be a huge help. And we already got a lot of familiar names popping in. Kenneth Buxton, who's a channel member. Kenneth, thank you so much. Also, John Stokes in the house. Good to see you. Channel member and Booster Club member as well. We'll talk some about those things as we get throughout the show tonight, but there are links in the description if you want to check that out. The call-in number is right here. But link. You can click on that link. It'll bring you to me. You can choose to turn your camera off or leave it on. Doesn't matter to me. All I really need is your voice. So a true call-in show is available to you tonight if you want to take advantage of it. So please do that if you'd like to. It'll be posted at the top of the chat window right now, and I'll throw it up there a couple of times just to remind you all of what is available to you tonight as we go throughout the night. Let's see what you guys are saying as we kind of get in gear here. War Eagle from Jacksonville, Florida. I'd like to see the open practice weekend just slam packed with fans. Let's give the freshman and sophomore class a real game day experience they didn't get. Yeah, I think it would be cool to see a full stadium for that. Or not a full stadium, but a packed stadium. I don't know that's what Auburn's hoping for, because I think this is kind of one of those. I think obviously they did this by necessity. You know, can't do a traditional fan day, which is a shame. No autograph session, just in case you were wondering. But they are giving you an open practice this year, which is not something they typically do. It's also like a test run at getting people in and out of the stadium in not so big quantities, but kind of get things geared up. They'll have probably the yellow shirt people there, the event staff people that kind of figure things out. It's not just something they're doing for you all. And myself as well. They're doing it for a test run at the season. Let's see here. Thank you, sir, for the kind words. I'm glad you're enjoying the show. Just gonna throw. This is stereotypical Auburn fan. Just gonna throw out an Akron score prediction for fun. 41-10. When I read that originally, I read 41-0. I was like, I think they're gonna score some. 41-10 is probably fair. I would go a little less and a little more for them. I'm kind of leaning on somewhere in like the high 38, somewhere like that, to maybe 17, just to kind of give room for growth. I'd like a comfortable win. I think that's highly likely, but I kind of want give room for some mistakes to be made and things like that. Let's see. So Stereotypical Auburn fans also bringing this up. Apparently, depending on who you talk to and who you listen to and who gets you to click, always remember the goal is to get you to click. You ever wondered why certain news items pop up at certain points of the season? This is a very slow, dull week for Auburn content because it's the week before game week. It's the week before there's not a true quarterback battle, as in there was not an incumbent like when it was Joey Gatewood and Bo Nix. I'm not going to sit here and dismiss that there's been a quarterback battle, because I think there always should have been a quarterback battle every single season. To that end, though, I have people that I listen to that have been pretty reliable. They were pretty reliable throughout the coaching search, and I have not gotten any inclinations otherwise that Bo Nix is in trouble. But I'm always willing to, to open my mind up to that possibility. Here's the other thing too. I don't know why, if anybody overtakes him, I think it's going to be Demetrius Davis. That's just if somebody did. If Demetrius Davis actually is as good as advertised, then I think that you potentially could see that happening. Sorry, I'm kind of managing a couple things here on the side as we roll through the show tonight, because it's what I do. I have to multitask on some of these things because it gets a little bit crazy from time to time on me, and it's not working. Okay. Anyway, I can focus on that later. We have North Carolina already represented. And Wetumpka represented. Scotty's in the house. Good to see a big old War Eagle, everybody. Glad to have so many of you here already. See, what I'm trying to do here is actually run this show simultaneously on my show, so I can make sure everything is running smoothly. It's kind of like my backup, and my backup is not working. All right, focus here. What's on your mind? Obviously, I'm sure a lot of you are interested in the supposed quarterback battle. So if that is something that you want to kind of share your thoughts on, is fair game tonight. Obviously, I hope that we can always be respectful of the coaches and players and the decision that they're trying to make right now on what's best for the team. What are you hearing? And if you have solid information on what the quarterback race actually looks like, I'd love to hear that as well, because, just because my sources tend to be right doesn't mean I have all the information whatsoever. I don't hear enough chatter, and I also know when to predict certain news stories are going to start being circulated out there and dropped at certain times. It's not it's not that hard to figure out. It's pretty funny. You can only go so long blasting Coach Harsin for things that aren't related to football. You can only go so long blasting Coach Harsin for hats to get your clicks up. And so time is waning on them to try to make some money on some clicks and things like that. Anybody coming to the game this weekend, or the open practice? If you are, I'd love to know. I haven't planned anything official. I plan to be there. I might even be in Auburn on Friday. I'm not exactly sure. I'm kind of using this weekend as a test run for what I'm going to be doing a lot on the weekends for home games. If you're not aware, I do go to all of the home games, but not necessarily into the games. But I will be on campus doing a lot of sharing and posts on social media and stuff like that. Probably I'm going to try to pull off some live streams from campus, maybe Tiger Walk, maybe the pep rally at Four Corners right after that. Depends on the Auburn Wi-Fi. If you've been to Auburn, you've been in the stadium, supposedly it's going to be better in stadium. What that means for on campus, outside of stadium, who knows at this point. I know our O-line has been shifting around a lot in practice, which at this point kind of worries me. So why does that worry you, stereotypical Auburn fan? Why does that worry you? If there was a set, I guess I kind of maybe you're making your point here. You would hope it would be set right now, but I think, and gosh, I sound like a broken record here. It's the offensive line has been our biggest issue. And I'm not shocked that they're still shifting around. That's how bad it's been. And I think it's going to show game one, even how far they still have to go as an offensive line. Can they pull it together this season? I have full confidence that they can. But still a ways to go. I did see that Coach Harsin commented on the starting lineup. I think, if I remember correctly, Austin Troxell, Keandre Jones. That was kind of a bit of a surprise to me. Not surprise in a bad way, but just I was like, I wasn't expecting that. Bradarius Ham, I think Tayshawn Manning was in there, and Nick Brahms. I think that was the starting lineup. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think that was the starting offensive line. Time to retire the shirt. I will never retire this shirt, Travorce. Never. In fact, I was hoping I was going to get a comment on this shirt tonight. I've retired the shirt in the sense that I only use it for like live streams and stuff. Believe it or not, I have a little bit of a secret wardrobe over here that are shirts that are semi-retired that I only use for things like this because I don't want you to have to stare at the same t-shirt. I want to look like I actually have some sense. I guess maybe I don't if I'm wearing this. But when I saw this t-shirt I think I actually bought it in the AU bookstore. Yeah, I think no. Maybe it was J&M. I had to buy it right away because it spoke to me. I needed that. Let's see here. Stereotypical Auburn fan. I'm a little worried about getting slapped around by Penn State. I think we either win close or get blown out. I have no idea which. I think it's gonna be a close one regardless. I think Auburn has the talent to go into Happy Valley and put up a humongous fight. The question is who lays the last punch. In that scenario, it tends to favor the home team, especially when the visiting team is still kind of working through some issues and things like that they really haven't had a true test. And I mean, no offense to Akron, no offense to Alabama State. Alabama State's, I kind of hope I can find when I say find, I'm not really wanting to pay for a ticket, but someone has a ticket for Alabama State so I can go in and watch the bands. Like I'm not going to lie. That's the main reason Alabama State is there, is to collect a check, is to get, a little bit of experience against a top tiered program. And that's about, and Auburn needs a little bit of a tune up, but yeah. KJ was starting over me. Okay, that I thought when I said that last, but I was like, it's a little bit different. But yeah, Keandre Jones, I've heard a lot about him from people close to the program, but close to the family as well, and how excited they were for his future. Or I'm thinking about another player, but I've still heard a lot about Keandre Jones. So it's not that I was shocked that he was part of the starting lineup, but I'm kind of like pleasantly surprised to see that happening, because as much as I'd like to see the group that was there get it together, I've lost a little bit of faith and trust. And so I think a little bit of mixing it up is probably what the doctor ordered. And, we'll see if it happens. We'll see if it happens. We'll see if it actually works. I would not get attached to this offensive line the way it is when you see it coming out there when 15 minutes starts hitting on that first quarter against Akron. I think it's going to change a lot over time. Just kind of how I feel about it. Whether it's injuries, COVID, whether it's all this stuff in between, I think it's likely you're going to see a very flexible offensive line this year. And I also think Coach Harson's going to have a short leash for a lot of these players and really make them earn their spot on there. Let's see here. By the way, so let me kind of give you a heads up on what I'm thinking about. We can kind of talk shop here for a second. I'm thinking of doing another regular live stream during the season. Excuse me. By the way, y'all need to tell me if my audio sounds. I just realized my microphone was like way off on the side here. So anytime something like that happens and I don't notice it, please tell me. I'm thinking about doing a regular live stream during the season, breaking down the game. Now, let me go ahead and forewarn you. We have a podcast. They're going to be breaking down each game, previewing and reviewing every week. And we split that up into 2 podcasts. We'll get on here and obviously talk about it on Wednesday night live streams too. But I really would like to maybe commit to saying, we're going to break down game film or something like that on Monday nights. Does that interest anybody? I know Monday nights can be tricky, especially, the first one's going to be Labor Day weekend. So that may not be the most popular, but if y'all would like something like that, I'm considering it, because I know a lot of you enjoy the live streams and want more of those type of things on here. And I'm trying to do them as the topics arise, but if that's something that y'all would be really interested in, we're here to entertain. All right. Let's see. Let me scroll down here. I'm going to put the call-in number again if you all would like to take advantage of that. Don't be shy again. No worries, though, if you don't want to take part in it. I understand. Rob Donaldson, I love Armchair Quarterback podcast. Is that a different podcast that I mean, I know that's not one of ours, but I'll be honest with you. I haven't listened to a lot of other podcasts since I started my own. Not because I like out of arrogance or thing. I just don't have time to. I'm either editing or listening to, editing and listening to all the ones that we put out each week. And it's summer's nice because we don't have a ton of things that are regular. But when we start September, whoo boy, the podcast just start flowing. And the bad part always is about like November when basketball gets started and you're trying to manage football and basketball all in 1 week, and equestrian, which we do if you haven't heard. It looks like Auburn Elvis is probably going to be doing that again this year. Don't want to commit him without his final word, but I would guess that's what's going to happen this year. And then we got track and field as well. By the way, if anybody out there wants to try their hand at podcasting, don't know how to do it, doesn't really know how to get started, let us help you with that. And let us get you an Auburn-related podcast here on our network. Always willing to talk to people about that if they're interested in that and doing that, learning about it, and being part of our little volunteer team that enjoys just talking about Auburn stuff. The week before game week is always very dull. And I know that we're all just basically wanting, there's a couple things that we're wanting to know. We're wanting to know, who, if this stuff is real about Bo Nix. We're kind of really wanting to know about the offensive line. We're just really wanting to see the team for the first time, which is why I'm encouraging you, if you can, to come to the open practice. And I think it'd be really beneficial to kind of get you ready for the week. No, any armchair quarterback shows. Just got you. Okay, so what I was mentioning earlier, I think it would just be fun to do a regular live stream where we get together, we just break down the game and kind of talk about it together. Thinking Monday nights would probably be good. I think War Rapport here on YouTube does something similar on Sundays. That's why I was kind of thinking Mondays. I tried my best to not butt up with them, too much, but I know they go live. I did this one live because I know a lot of you go over there once this is done, trying to give you a constant flow of Auburn content that you can take advantage of. Michael Trott in the house. Good to see you from Pell City. We've got Wetumpka. We've got, who do we have earlier? Forgot. A couple other cities that we had already represented here. But good to see you, Michael. Thanks for being here. We're just kind of bouncing around different topics tonight, trying to get ourselves geared up for this week. Anybody feeling like you've got any predictions you want to throw down? I'm working on my official final prediction for the season, record and the results of each game. I think a lot of you that have been here on this live stream will not be shocked by what I'm feeling, but maybe me talking through it and do it in this video will help you understand my rationale. I'll be upfront with you. I'm not anticipating what most people would call an outstanding season, but I am anticipating a successful and a adequate season for a first-year head coach with a lot of things fighting against him, especially the media, apparently. Oh boy, it's why I just can't. We have Twitter and we do what we can with it, but it's it's kind of the frustrating thing to keep up with at times. Middle of the road season. See, I think you and I have different opinions of what middle of the road season is. I would say a middle of the road season would be 6-6. I mean, maybe that's what you mean. If I go like 8-4 and maybe a bowl loss 8-5, that's a pretty good season for a first year head coach. We've been spoiled by the hurry up, no huddle and had a undefeated first season with Coach Malzahn, but hey, I could be wrong. Imani says again, 15-0 national championship. Not quite, my friend, not so fast, but you could be right. If you are, You will be the one who said it here first, along with Casey and everybody else who's called national championship this year. Imani, though, are you going to be as confident when we have that first loss? Because it's coming. I promise you, it is coming. The question is to who and when. Oh, we got a lot of people popping in. Tyler, what's going on, Tyler? Tyler and I know each other. Which receiver are you looking forward to watching most with all the talent we lost to the draft last year? So, quick plug. I've done a ranking Auburn's wide receiver prospects video. You can find that on our channel. If I had the link available to you, I'd give it to you. But I've had my eyes opened to the prospect of Tavares Dawson, the freshman who I wasn't anticipating a lot from. In fact, in the video, I just mentioned him as honorable mention because I was like, I don't want to discredit what he's doing, but he's a freshman. There's a lot of other talent ahead of him, but he's getting a lot of noise out of fall camp. So that's probably what I'd be now looking forward to seeing. Like, what is everybody seeing? What is he doing to make his name come up so much? Is he actually doing enough to garner enough play time outside of the I think it's 5 games that you can play before losing your eligibility for the year now? So I will say Dawson now is kind of something I'm interested in watching. I know this is not a popular pick, but I really want to see Shedrick Jackson, Bo's nephew, to just have his senior year. And it would be a very Cody Burns-esque type of year. Kind of, obviously not similar stories in that he wasn't a quarterback and stuff like that, but just kind of a name that was prominent coming in, hasn't really, because of injuries, all this stuff, hasn't really had the best time yet. But that's one. And there's the obvious names. I mean, it's, I got accused of in the video of just being fanboying about Zevion Capers, about Elijah Canyon. Those are all going to be great, but and I do agree that those are somewhat obvious, but 2 that I'm going to be watching closely to see their trajectory this season would be Dawson and Shed Jackson. Definitely. Rob, you are bringing people into the family. If they're not subscribed, tell them they need to be. That's how we grow this little family within the Auburn family. Appreciate you, sir. Felix is in the house. He is a channel supporter and a Booster Club member. If you'd like to find out how you can contribute for as little as $1 a month on either of those things or both those things, like some of you have chose to do, which are very gracious of you, you can do that in the links in the description. You can hit the join button here on the channel, and that's easy ways that you can help support what we do here. 9-3, Felix says. 9-3 is a very obtainable goal, and it's a very obtainable record for Auburn this year. I am not confident enough to say that there's going to be 9 wins, though, in the regular season. There could be a 9th win with a bowl win, an 8-4 season. That's very possible. I haven't seen enough. Things I'm hearing are just aren't making me comfortable enough to say like a 9-win season solid just yet. Can you please tell me what happened to J.J. Evans, the big-time receiver out of Montevallo? Did something else happen? Honestly, I'm not sure what you're referring to. I know he's kind of fallen off the face of the map in terms since he's been here, but other than that, I don't really know much more than probably you do. Stacy says, I will take whatever season we get as long as the coach who will not be named is gone. I'm looking forward to new leadership. Love that equestrian poster. Okay. The coach who will not be named is gone. Interesting. I don't know where we're going with that one. New leadership, the equestrian poster. So those are like circa 2017. My goal was to have a rotating background of like at least the big 3 of each season. So it would be like football, soccer, and volleyball, cross country as well, but not many people would recognize that. And then do like men's and women's basketball, gymnastics, and then have like baseball, softball, equestrian, for instance, but yeah, I just haven't changed them. They look good. I mean, it's a baseball pitcher, it's a softball pitcher, it's an equestrian pitcher amongst a bunch of football stuff. So it kind of fits, doesn't it? Compass is what we're all about here. Everything Auburn. Matt K says wide receiver has to step up and help Bo out. No drop balls. Absolutely. 100% agree with you on this. This is as critical as I have been on the offensive line, and I hope you have received it as constructive criticism because I believe in their capabilities, and I believe that they can be better. A lot of this, the success of this year is going to be dependent upon when the offensive line does get it together, when Bo has it together, that they don't drop the easy balls. These deep balls, they're hard to catch sometimes. These difficult passes, these are young guys. Those are going to happen. But these quick little slants, these quick little ins and outs and curl routes, they have got to catch them 90% of the time. If they don't, it's going to get bad. That is how the wide receivers step up this year. So to answer the other question, who am I keeping my eye on? Whoever has the best catch percentage. That's who I want. Larry Davis says Carr. Don't really know what that's about, but welcome, Larry. Really interested in seeing TD Moultrie this season. I think TD's gotten a lot of, he's not forgotten, but because of the departures on the defensive line, and the panic of that, I think we forget that we got TD back and he's going to be great. The names like that are what have not allowed me to sit in a panicking stew about the defensive line once some of those people started leaving. I was very concerned about the defensive line when, especially, who's the one that just left? Tyrone Truesdale. But then I sat back. I was like, cupboard's not bare. We're going to do good. Neil White in the house, fellow East Cobb, Georgia guy. Thanks for being here, man. Bo will have over 40 passing touchdowns this season. Let's do some quick math here. So 12 regular season games. So that's like 3.7? No, not that. 3.3. I don't know, 3 point something touchdowns per game. I mean, it's possible. Passing touchdowns? No. Passing and rushing touchdowns? Very plausible. He's got some moves. He's shown it before. There's been a video circulating out on social media of, I think it was him in the Mississippi State game. Literally, how the man did not go down for a sack is beyond me. If it's anybody else that we had at quarterback at the time, they're down on their back, plays over with. He just squirts out of there and scores a touchdown. That is what Bo Nix needs to be the starting quarterback. Now, I'm not the head coach, but he has the big play potential. Matt wants them to catch it 99% of the time. I agree. I think it's a little unreasonable considering our previous success at that rate, but maybe. Larry. Okay, I'm jumping around a little bit here, but that's a great comment because I do love for us to kind of keep up with what's, not just specifically Auburn football right now, but other things. Yeah, Carl Lawson had an injury and he's out for the season. And this is a guy that not quietly, but just kind of somewhat just below the radar has been building a very good career in a very good young career. Very sad that he cannot play the rest of the year because of that injury. And by the way, did you know that Carl Lawson and Rachel Dinkoff, an Auburn track and field great, and who was a representative of the United States and Auburn at the Olympics for a not shot put. Yeah. Was it shot put? Weight throw, hammer throw, one of the two. One of them throws. Didn't know that. Found that little bit of a factoid out, which was, don't you just love when you see little Auburn couples together? So Carl Lawson and Rachel Dinkoff. Saw this headline in Saturdays Down South and laughed. Auburn announces toilet paper policy for Toomer's Corner in 2024. Yeah. Is Saturday Down South? I don't mean to be mean for anybody that enjoys that or maybe any representatives of it here. I don't see them that often. I'm surprised they're still around. Michael says any season is better than 2012. Yeah, that was a pretty bad one. If you look back at Auburn history, there were clearly ones that were worse. Not many, but there were some that were a lot worse. That was a bad one, though. We go 12-2 with Finley and the defense, and the defense with Bo. And the defense and Bo, and the defense we go 7-5 before they wear down. I'm having trouble, Big Simp, putting that one together there. Sounds like you're saying Finley. If we go 10-2 with Finley, 7-5 with Bo. Don't really know where you're getting those numbers and why, but I don't necessarily agree with that. Felix says, I want a shirt. What kind of shirt do you want? This one? This one right here? I mean, you can't get them anymore. You have to probably go find someone that's got them in their little closet like me somewhere. But if you're wanting one of our t-shirts, you can go to the link, tpublic.com/E2C network, and get you some merch there, logo, all that kind of stuff. Another reason to feel excited about the defensive line, Colby Wooden and Derek Hall. Derek Hall has been getting a shout outs even last year, but he's been getting shout outs by the coaching staff currently as well. And I think that he is going to be obviously a big breakout star this year. Tony and Lee, the D-line is going to be tough. I think it is. It's a similar situation now with Tyron Truesdale leaving that the wide receivers have. A lot of talent that's not had the most time to get together and figure it all out. But I think it's very possible that not just possible, I think it's probable that they're going to really show out this year more. And it could, a lot of people are saying that Auburn's defense is going to be a top 10. I don't really refute those statements ever, because I think that is a very likely scenario. I can see that happening. You take a great defensive mind coach like Derek Mason, who, my goodness, had the most uphill battle of his life at Vanderbilt. And now he's got all the talent in the world. As he said, he's a kid in a candy store. You take what Gus Malzahn and his staff left and what they built at defensive back, the stability that the offensive line has had. And speaking of, we should address that in just a little bit, the captains that were announced, all that together, and the defensive line that's got all the talent in the world, that's going to be a good recipe for a really, really great defense. I really like JJ Sweet Feet Pegues. I've never heard him called Sweet Feet. I might have to start using that now, Felix. So thank you. I will say that my nickname for him is Pegasus, because like a Pegasus, it's oddly graceful. You wouldn't expect a horse and with wings to be graceful, but yet it is somehow. So Pegasus. So you may borrow that if you'd like. All right. As a reminder, please do not be shy. At the top of the chat window, I'm going to post it here again. This is your chance, if you'd like to, on live and talk to me and just get whatever you want to talk about on here. I'm posting the link right now. You don't even have to be on camera. It can just be your voice. But there you go, if you want to take advantage of it. Let's see. Cam, what do you make of us getting 9 preseason All-SEC players, 3 most in the SEC, having 2 on the O-line to make the list shocking? So 2 things I'll take away from that. And I found myself kind of thinking through maybe some of the things you were, Cam, about that news when it broke. Am I shocked that Auburn has as many people as they did on the preseason All-SEC watch list? No. That's usually the case. There's been some years where it hasn't happened really to that level, maybe a little bit lower, but I may be stepping out here and saying something that's not true. But I would think it's a fair statement to say that Auburn is always in the top half of having All-SEC players at the beginning of the season before things start getting shook out. So I would say that doesn't shock me, because you would expect Alabama, Georgia probably to be 1 and 2 right now, just with everything. Maybe LSU too. The offensive line, I can see where the shock would be with how bad they've been. But remember, this is a rating of them as individuals. And I think people miss this with my critique of the offensive line. It's been as a unit, not as individuals. Just because you have 1 great offensive lineman or 2 great doesn't mean you have a great offensive line. It can, if they play to each other's strengths and help each other with their weaknesses. That hasn't happened yet. So 2 offensive linemen being on that list is not shocking, especially with as much time as they've been here in this league. I'm not going to be shocked if someone gets drafted this year from the offensive line, especially if they put things together and have a really solid season and surprise everybody. Potential. I've been using that word a lot tonight. There we go. And somebody asked who it was. Brahms, second team. Ham, third team. Yeah, those 2 names should be up there. Nick Brahms has been a mainstay on that offensive line. Bradarius Ham has all the talent in the world. Bradarius Ham, if you want to give me a player to watch, that's the one I watch to see what he has. JJ will be the next Fairley. You're talking about Nick Fairley? Could be. I think I'd give him a year to see what he actually does at the new position before I make that call. That's just me. But, to each their own. Let's see. Our best position groups are inside linebacker, cornerback, safety. The defense will be top 3 in the SEC in pass defense, top 3 on third down, and top half in run defense. Top half in run defense, I can see. Top 3 on third down. It's not the Auburn way. So I'm not going to jump on board that one. Top 3 in pass defense is very, very probable, I would say. The trick there for me, though, can this younger, less, not completely inexperienced, but less experienced than we're used to, a defensive line, get enough pressure? If they do that, the defensive backs are going to have a field day. Combine that with the pop that the linebacker is able to provide and their coverage that I think that they're capable of. Yes, top 3 SEC pass defense, very probable. And that's why I'm super excited about that. And honestly, we talk a lot about on this show about, how my predictions have kind of worked out in my head and how I'm kind of thinking through it as the season gets closer. The defense is really starting to make me optimistic. I will admit. The more I think about it, the more I look at who's there, the type of talent that's there, the coaching. It's starting to make me feel better. It's probably going to be a sense of false hope, but hey, I like to be an optimistic person, even to my own detriment, despite what it may seem like. Give me Troxel at left tackle, Council at left guard. That's who it was, Brandon Council. I forgot. Brahms is what you meant there at center. Keandre Jones at right guard and right tackle Ham. Isn't that what basically he said today? Our coach got interviewed. I really, I like that. I like that a lot. I want to see what that group does together. Yeah, that group makes me feel probably the most confident going into game 1. And just think about it this way. We're not going to really see how good or bad the offensive line is going to be until Penn State. You're not. I'm sorry. You're not going to get a true test from Akron. You're going to have some inefficiencies exposed. That'll get cleaned up. Alabama State, you're going to hopefully get them rotated out there after the first half, so no injuries or anything like that. Penn State's where we figure what this season is going to be like as a team, but for these individual positions we're all talking about. I guess, Felix, you meant one of the best in Auburn football history. I wouldn't go that far yet. There's been some pretty good defenses of recent. That defense in 2019, the offense could have just gotten it together. What might have been? This is a team that beat Alabama. This is a team that should have beat Georgia, that should have beat LSU, that should have, would have, could have, And here's the crazy thing about that season. I remember sitting I wasn't in the actual Georgia game, but at a tailgate. We're having like a little bit of a booth thing where people could come by and say hello for the podcast. And watching the game at the tailgate there on campus and asking the question, what happens if we beat Georgia? Because if you beat Georgia, you somehow pull off the upset, which we did against Alabama. Where does that put Auburn in the the playoff picture. It put us right in it. And there was not necessarily right in it, but there was an outside chance Auburn could have been in it. Miller, yes, I do think that we should have beat Florida. There was that weird sniper that took out Derek Brown's feet from under him on that fumble return. I was there at the stadium for that. Oh boy, that place got quiet and loud at the same time. There were some obviously offensive inefficiencies there. Yeah, but you just got to take what the cards that are dealt to you and run with them. But yeah, that Florida game, that was a gut wrencher there. I think that's when it set in for. I remember the feeling leaving that game, and I think I even did like a live thing on Twitter, talking on the way back and trying to encourage people. It's like, season's not over, and it wasn't at that point. Surprisingly, it felt like it was, but if you really sat back and looked at if Auburn had beaten Georgia and Alabama, that's a case they can make to get into the playoff picture. Does hearing so little about McCreary, top 3 corner in the league at best during practice, and so much about the other divisions not make you excited about that position? So I guess you're saying not hearing about McCreary just kind of goes what we all know about him, and then the others kind of makes you excited. Yes, I have not been worried personally about the defensive backs in a long, long time. The last time that I can remember being truly concerned about our defensive backfield was when, my goodness, I'm trying to remember. Ryan, there were 2 guys with similar kind of names. One was Ryan something, the other was something Ryan, that were our defensive backs, and they ended up being okay. It was a 2013 season. That year was a little bit concerning. Since then, the weirdest thing in the world happened. Coach Malzahn put together an outstanding program for defensive backs. Never in my wildest dreams did I think I'd be saying that, but it's true. And he has the draft picks, and he has the players that made it into the NFL, even not get drafted, and the accolades to back that up. And what a weird coincidence that is. We also should have knocked off LSU and Georgia. Yeah. Bam, undefeated national championships. Now, so we lost to Florida. We lost to, I think, Mississippi State, oddly, that year, if I'm correct. We lost to Georgia and Alabama. And I feel like was it Tennessee that year? No, that was last year. No, the year before that. I can't keep it all straight. But anyway. All right, we're about 10 minutes probably from 9 o'clock. We'll try to be out here right on time, but don't go away because we're not going anywhere either. But get your last minute comments and questions and thoughts, anything. We don't have to talk football if you don't want to. If you got other thoughts and things that you want to bring up, I will again remind you, don't be shy if you'd like to call in if you want to say hello. We're always going to keep this option open on the live shows. We may stop calling it the live call-in shows if nobody really wants to take advantage of it all the time. Kind of doesn't make sense if you want to do that. We'll figure out another name for it. But that, just because it's not called that, maybe doesn't mean we're not going to do those things for you guys. And before I forget, a couple of things for you to keep in mind. Check out the podcast this week. The season preview and predictions 2-part show is up. That is live on the podcast network. Check that out. And it's also up on the YouTube channel if you want to view it that way or listen to it that way. Also, Auburn Roots this Friday. I've announced to the Booster Club members who that is. You should go check it out. If you want to check out the Booster Club, it's at patreon.com/E2C Network. $1 a month is all it takes to sign up. And actually, you don't get charged until the beginning of the month. So you can kind of come in, peek your head in, see if it's worth your while. If it's not, no harm, no foul. You can leave. No, you can't. It sounded mean. You can choose to leave if you'd like to. But I hope you will go check that out. Or you can just become a channel member here and do that for $1 a month and get some small little perks on the side for yourself. Plenty of ways in the description to help support what we do here. But I would like you all, if you haven't, please do smash that like button if you enjoy this type of content. Let's see here. Felix, you're going to get yourself in trouble saying that you like Gus. How dare you? How dare you, sir, admit that you like Gus Malzahn? That's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun season if UCF has some success and Auburn's struggling. It's also going to be fun if Auburn's having and UCF flat out falls in their face. There's no scenario where everybody wins in this. You're going to have Auburn fans with their feelings hurt. That's the second time I've knocked my mic tonight. I think we 9-3 in 2019 with losses to LSU, UGA, and Florida. I'm pretty sure we had a fourth one in there. The fifth one being, you know what we can do? We can certainly find out. Auburn football 2019. Well, it's not what I wanted, but let's pull this up and find out here live on the show for you all. That would be 2021. We want 2019. Give it a second to pull up. All right. We had a loss to Florida, which was the first loss of the season, a loss to LSU, a loss to Georgia. You are correct. Why did I think we lost to Mississippi State? Because it feels like it happens too often. But yeah, that's a lot of ifs and buts and candies. And I know that's a weird phrase that most people don't know, but a lot of questions. What could have been if Auburn had just beat Georgia that year? And we did lose to Minnesota in that game. Fourth was Minnesota. There you go. So we're now all on the same page. It's funny. Gus should have easily had 3 rings in his tenure, 2013, 17, 19, any type of game adjustments. This season could be much worse. I would argue that he had plenty of game adjustments in the 2013 season. One Nick Saban can attest to that. I will say, yeah, I mean, there are some things that you can always say in hindsight that things could change and they might have had those things. 2013, if Trey Smith cuts to the right, I think it is. If you watch on the replay on that kickoff return, which was a wild one, we win the game in a wild fashion again. Sometimes you just got to let the players play, figure it out from there. But yeah. The LSU game hurt. If we played better on offense, we should have won. Yes, I agree. Yeah. I mean, the defense did absolutely everything they could have done for the team to be successful. And unfortunately, the offense was not able to support them that year. And it's doubly frustrating because it was an opportunity to not only end the streak of losing in Baton Rouge, it was a chance to ruin LSU's dream season. And still, we're the only team that gave them a real problem. Alabama obviously did for a little while, but LSU eventually pulled away. I believe I have that, my memory correct. But yes, Auburn, it was their only real test that year. Joe, you're kind of here at the end of the show, but you made it in. Also a channel supporter. Thank you, Joe, for what you do. And a Booster Club member. Appreciate you for your support. 2017 was a special year. And by the way, I don't know what that flashing light was in the back, but I'm scared now. We were definitely the best team in college football that year. We were one of the best teams. I'd have to go back and really look at that one again. Kerryon Johnson was a very special running back. And, you know, that's another scenario. Kind of like you asked the question, 2013, if Trey Smith breaks to the right on that kickoff return, what if Kerryon Johnson doesn't get unjustly injured in the Alabama game? What if? I can't even remember who won the national championship that year. Anybody remember that? 2017? Was it Alabama? It was Alabama, wasn't it? Was that Tua's first year? Because it would have been Tua played 2017, won the game. 18, 19 was his last year. Yep, that would have been it. So we would have kept, if we had won, we probably would have kept Alabama out of the playoff. But alas, there they sit with another national championship. Very, very, very sad. Oh, something I almost forgot to mention. Co-captains were announced. Owen Papo and why am I blanking on his name? Chandler Wooten back. Sat out last year. I think a lot of people are trying to build that into a bigger controversy than it is. Why wasn't Bo Nix? you don't have to have an offensive and a defensive captain. That's not how it works. Bo's not even a senior. No, Owen's not a senior, but it makes sense for Owen as the leader of the offense, or excuse me, the defense, and Chandler, who is very much viewed, from my understanding, as a very big mentor for a lot of the players on that team. And you kind of want to have one of the stud athletes be it, and you kind of want to have the leadership guy be it. And just because Bo's not on there doesn't mean that's a hint at something. And I think that's kind of what stirred a lot of this up. Oh, he got snubbed for the captain. That doesn't mean anything. But yeah. If we had beaten Georgia, we would have gone to the Rose Bowl. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. At that point, we had beaten Georgia once. We had beaten Alabama. Excuse me. We'd have lost to two teams. At that point, Clemson won in 2017 and beat Bama. Is that right? I swear you're right, because Alabama won last year with Mac Jones, and he had been there for 2 seasons. So yep, you are right. You are right on that one. All my dates and times are all mixed up now. If we had beaten LSU, we'd been a national championship. Not necessarily. You don't know what things lead to other things. And that's a very vague and non-committal statement on my part. But you can make the case if we had beaten LSU, maybe we'd been sitting in a different way. Maybe somebody had gotten hurt in that, way it would have been won, which would have ruined the upset of Alabama that year. You just never know. It's always, all the things that you just never know. I say we got some discrepancy now on who actually won which national title. You know what we're gonna do? We're actually gonna go look national championship right now. 2017. Clemson did beat Alabama. So, well, the question actually in 2017, that would have been for the 2016 year. What I'm thinking of is the 2017 season, which would have been 2018 when it was played, which was Tua's first game. And he threw that miraculous pass. Not really miraculous, just a good pass to beat Georgia in the national title game. So technically, right again. Bruce, a lot of us like Harsin. I think there's a lot to like about him, and I do think that there's going to be a lot more to like about him and his style going forward. My biggest wish and hope for us as the Auburn family, and we'll start kind of rounding out our discussion here. Give this man 5 years, please. Give him 5. Let him get a full recruiting cycle through, and then 1 before we start making fire this guy. I'm tired of that stuff, and I really want us to commit to somebody and ride it out with them. Is Harsin going to be the guy? I don't know. Seems like he has the potential to do it, and I think I'm very excited for what his future will hold here. And I'm going to be his biggest fan, despite my dislike of the firing this previous year. But I hope that's what we'll do. And I hope you all are getting excited, because when we get back together 1 week from today, same time, same place, to talk about Auburn stuff, we will be 72 hours, doing math in my head real quick, roughly, from kickoff. How does that feel? It's pretty awesome, right? I'm excited. And you should be too. Here's the reminder. I will be on campus, barring unforeseen circumstances, this weekend. Definitely Saturday, potentially Friday for a volleyball match. I don't know yet. I'm debating. But we'll be doing whatever streaming and stuff we can do, test runs for this season like we've done in the past. So if you're going to be on campus, please do come say hello. I would love to meet some of you guys in person. It would be the greatest privilege, because you honor me with your time, and your like and whatever else. And many of you who support us here, whether you're a channel member or a Booster Club member, it means the world to us. Neil, I am still in disbelief that football is upon us every single year when that final week hits. When Saturday night hits midnight, it's on, baby. College football is coming home. And I think technically there's a game the week before. Don't they do that week 0 thing now? It's so weird. But for me, it doesn't truly begin until we all get together as a family, all 80, almost 8,000 of us in a stadium, and however many more around the world to watch our boys in blues get back. All right. That's going to do it here. If you're heading over to War Rapport, please tell them hello. Say we said War Eagle. Smash that like button on the way out and check out some of the links in the description for ways you can help support what we do. I appreciate you all so much. Hope to see you back here next Wednesday. Stay tuned. Maybe some more live streams coming up very soon as we get into game week. Very excited. And War Eagle.